Well, good afternoon everybody and welcome to our Tuesday tea time chat. That's very catchy that, isn't it? Although I didn't think about that, by the way. But welcome to Reggie's Wildflower Meadow here at the Hawke Conservancy Trust. My name's Gary Benton, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the Head of Living Collection here at the Trust. I've been here for just over 20 years now actually, which I find hard to believe myself. But started here on work experience and then volunteered for quite a long time, doing as much as I possibly could in my spare time, and then eventually found myself in the position of being a junior falconer. I've worked with some fantastic people over the years and many different species of birds of prey and really doing what I love. And so I'm actually here now for our first questions and answers session here at the Trust, and we're going to be doing this weekly, every Tuesday at the same time at 3 p.m, giving you guys, viewers at home, a chance to ask us any burning questions that you might have about the birds, about some of the things that we're doing here through these, of course, very difficult times, and basically trying to keep you up to date. And I'd just like to say that we've had some fantastic support for us here over recent weeks. Obviously the whole country and the whole world is going through some very difficult times, and for people like yourselves to continue to support us in the way that you have, and that's actually growing, which is pretty astonishing as far as I'm concerned. For people like yourselves to continue to support us and the work that we're doing with birds of prey in the wild has just been amazing. Really can't quite believe it. Following us on social media, keeping an eye on our website and watching the videos that we're putting out, engaging with us on things like this, some of our live sessions, and even supporting us with donations, which has just been incredible. As many of you will know who have been here before, that we're a charitable trust working to conserve birds of prey in the wild. And we've been going through some really strange times at the moment, as the whole world is, but one of the really weird things for us is that, you know, particularly at this time of year, in April, on a beautiful day, we should have lots of people coming through our doors to see our birds, to hopefully learn about the importance of caring for birds like this in the wild, and hopefully to learn something about wildlife in general, and have a really good day whilst they're doing that. And really that's what we're all about. Everything that we do here circles back round every single time into the conservation of birds of prey, and if we can do that in a really fun and engaging way, hopefully that's what we do. And we're not able to do that in person at the moment, and so we're doing things like this. As I say, this is going to be happening every single week on a Tuesday at the same time at 3 p.m. With different members of the team, different members of the trust, of the organisation, so that you get a chance to keep up to date with what we're doing. I'm actually sat up here in Reggie's Meadow at the moment, which is just a beautiful place. I'll see if I can try and show you a little bit more of it. We're at the time of year where the first colour of cowslips, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but I've got these fantastic sort of little tinge of yellow skimming across the top of the meadow there. That's all the cowslips, the first of the colour of the year. But for us to be at this time of year with an arena like that every single day at 2 o'clock, so just over an hour ago, we would have been doing a demonstration here to potentially hundreds of people, and it's empty. And this is what we've been facing for weeks now. So it's really different for us, you know, a full audience, a full crowd of people like that every single day hopefully gives us the chance to engage people to the importance of helping and conserving birds of prey in the wild. Hopefully we can do that in a really fun way, and fundamentally, bums on seats, people coming in to see us, generates money to fund the conservation work. So, you know, we've really found ourselves in some difficult times and having to adjust in lots of different ways. So the support that you've been giving us has just been incredible. So hopefully we can try and keep you up to date. And as I say, this is what we're going to be doing in these sorts of sessions. We've had some great questions coming through, and I'm going to go through as many as I possibly can. Now, one thing I will say, as I'm trying to log onto my computer now, with one finger, is that I am absolutely useless with technology. So I've been trusted to come up into the meadow on my own with a camera and a computer and go through these questions that you've all sent in beforehand on a live session. So it has high potential to go horribly wrong, so I apologise in advance if that happens, but as we always do, I'm just going to carry on. So if my camera falls over, in fact, for all I know, you're not actually watching me at the moment. I could have got it completely wrong. I may be staring at a camera, sat in the middle of a meadow on my own, talking to nobody but myself, but I hope that everybody's there listening and watching. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through some of these questions here, and any that I don't get round to answering, we will certainly get back to you through our social media channels. So Alice and Louise and our marketing team are working very hard at the moment, remotely at home, as many of the people in this organisation are here at the Trust, to try and keep us going, the work that we're doing. So we'll do our best to get back to everybody. As I say, we're going to be doing this every single week on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. with different members of the team, so hopefully you can get a bit of an idea of what we're up to. So some of the questions that we've got, so we've had some great questions from lots of different people. Many of the names I recognise, which is great. We've got a fantastic following here at the Trust. We're very lucky to have so many good supporters. So first one, from Arthur and Gloria. Hi Arthur, hi Gloria. Your question was, who is your favourite bird and why? It's a really tricky one. If you ask any of us here on the bird team, we've got lots of favourites, which I know you shouldn't have really, but can't help it. We work with such a diverse amount of birds here, over 130 in total, and for lots of different reasons I've got favourites. But I'm going to give you two favourites if I'm allowed to. Of course I am, I can do what I want, but two favourites. One, my own falcon. His name's Lester, and he's a Jack Merlin, a male Merlin, so a member of the falcon family. And I've got a particular liking for him. He's my own bird. He lives here. I fly him throughout the winter season. So some of you, if you've been here throughout the summer period, might not have seen him fly, but I've always had a passion for merlins and falcons in general, but merlins are such a cool bird. So I think he's certainly one of my favourites, and he's turning 9 years old this year as well, so I've known him since he was about 12 weeks of age. And my second favourite has to be a vulture, an Egyptian vulture that goes by the name of Bo, who many of you will know if you come here regularly. And yeah, I've been working here with her for a number of years now, and probably got the most out of her than I have with any other bird of prey that I've worked with, as far as just been able to sort of second guess what she's doing when she's flying. And she's such an honest bird, such a natural flyer, and she's one of the higher flyers that we've got here on our bird team. And yeah, I think definitely her and Lester are my favourite birds, and both very, very different, falcon and vulture, but for different reasons. So my list could go on and on and on, but I won't bore you with it all. So there's the first question, the favourite bird. Okay, where we go next? So this is a good one. What species would you like to work with that you haven't so far and would want to see at the Trust? Now this is from Owen Lincoln. So Owen, yeah, I think, again, the list is endless. I think I'd have to say it would be a bearded vulture. Bearded vultures, if you haven't seen one before, look it up online. They're a bit of a mismatch of different birds. They're a vulture, and they look like a vulture in the air. They've got a big broad wingspan, that classic silhouette of a vulture as they're soaring around. But when you look at them closely, their whole makeup, their head design, and the way that their feet are designed as well, they've got some sort of resemblance to eagles as well. and so that they're a real mismatch of different birds, and just beautiful. I mean, they look like, they remind me of a bit of a sort of a mythical creature, a bit like a phoenix or something like that. You know, they're just so strange. And yeah, I think I'd love to work with one of those birds. I've seen them fly before, never seen them in the wild, and really watched them on wildlife programs. But there is some fantastic conservation work going on with that species. So I think it's certainly a species that, you know, many of us here at the Trust would think we'd like to work with here in the future. And that's the sort of considerations we need to take as well. You know, there's birds, different species and different birds that we would all like to work with, but whenever we work with a species here at the Trust, nowadays we really have to think about the reasons why as well. And we've got a whole collection plan committee, a whole group of people from different areas of the organisation and outside of the Trust as well, to basically assess, you know, each and every species or bird that come to the Trust. And we need to consider reasons of conservation status and whether they would be part of breeding programs here, whether there are species that we would be able to fly, and the best way to engage people in our birds is to fly them and to show you these birds in action and doing what they would do naturally in the wild. If you've been here before, you know, the best way to fall in love with a vulture is to see one or two or a whole group of them flying around and flying right across the tops of your head. So, you know, every time we think about a species coming to the Trust, we need to think about lots of different things, not just because we like them, but lots of different things so that they come here for the right reasons. And, you know, that's quite a very important thing to do. So we've got a whole collection plan committee which will decide that sort of thing. But we would love bearded vultures to come and join our team for sure. Okay, so next question we have got. I've had quite a few questions about red kites actually. In fact, lots of questions about red kites. And I've been informed by Alice on our marketing team that Dr. Matt Stevens, who's on our conservation and research team, he's actually going to be doing a session about red kites in the very near future. So he's going to be focusing on the species and bringing you up to date with some of the work that we do here with them at the Trust. And basically talking everything red kite. So I won't go into too much detail about red kites because he's far more knowledgeable than I am as far as their wild habits. So he'll be doing that very soon. So watch out for that one. But really good to see lots of people talking about red kites because aren't they such a fascinating species and once on the brink of extinction. Heavily persecuted and now one of the more common sights that you would see around the UK, which is brilliant to be able to say that they're a common sight now in certain areas, and I thought we'd never get to it, but it is just great. And this area behind me here, across Reggie's Wildflower Meadow and the East Chalderton Valley, was the release sites for our reintroduction programme in the early 2000s. 2002 was the first time we release kites into this area, and now a daily sight. In fact, I'm surprised that there isn't one flying around us now because we're seeing them all the time at the moment, but such wonderful birds. Okay, next question. Okay, I need to answer this one because my daughter has actually sent in a question about which is your favourite bird, Leicester or Bow? I wish I'd looked at this before. So Grace, I've answered that already, haven't I? But I think my favourite is Leicester and Bow. It's confusing, isn't it? But yeah, Leicester or Bow. Both of my kids, Alfie and Grace, know both of those birds very well because Bow, she arrived here at the Trust at just weeks old, and so she was this ball of fluff basically, no feather in her or anything, and I actually took her home to start that training process. So she spent a lot of time in our garden sun worshipping and getting used to everything going on, so that she can be a very confident bird. And my kids were, you know, a really important part of that sort of training process. So and of course Leicester being my own bird, they've been very involved with. So Grace, yeah, Leicester and Bo, I can't decide. They're both amazing. What else have we got? We have, okay, we've got another young supporter here. Actually, this is Etienne, who is 9 years old, and she's actually our marketing manager's daughter, and she's asked the question, can birds fly in a loop-the-loop, so upside down like aeroplanes? I've never been asked that before, ever, in all the time that I've been here. Can they fly loop-to-loop? You know what, they can. Not in exactly the same way as an aeroplane would, in a big circle, but if you've ever been here to see our team of Eurasian black kites fly, we fly a whole group of these birds, so we would naturally find them in the wild. And they're very acrobatic, generally designed for catching insects, so small prey items in mid-air. Very similar to how a red kite does. It's the way that they fly, very manoeuvrable, very acrobatic. And in the middle of one of our shows, our demonstrations, you'll have seen this before if you visited. If you haven't, please come and see us one day. And I've got one part of the demonstration where we propel food high up into the sky for the kites to catch, so almost to try and imitate that insect feeding behaviour that they've got, and they grasp with their feet and feed whilst they're flying. But depending on the operator of the catapult that's propelling the raw meat into the air, depends on how close you actually get to the kite. And again, I'm sure many of you have witnessed this before. Even a very bad catapult of the raw meat can still result in the kite catching it, because they make us look really good. And they are so manoeuvrable, and I've witnessed many times before when I've been flying them, when my colleagues have been flying them, a bit of food being fired right up over and above the kite, so much so that it can't catch it, and then I've seen these birds turn upside down and literally do that loop-to-loop backflip motion, and then come back round, level themselves out and catch the food in mid-air, which is pretty incredible. Sorry, my phone's decided to turn off, but we're all right, we're back on, which is pretty incredible. So, you know, yeah, I think they can do a loop-to-loop. In fact, another species which I love to watch, actually, not a bird of prey, but a raven. So the largest member of the corvid family, like crows and rooks and magpies and jays. Ravens do this sort of weird upside-down flight. I've seen them flying across the meadow doing it before, actually, but they'll fly in a straight line, build up a bit of speed, and then, I don't know whether it's for play or displaying or what, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, but all of a sudden they'll just flip up on their underside and tuck their wings in, and only for seconds, maybe 5 or 6 seconds, just glide in midair and then turn back round again and keep flapping to stay airborne. And they'll repeat that time and time again. But yeah, I mean, they're such a clever species, very parrot-like in their intelligence. So maybe it's just playfulness, maybe it's displaying to other ravens, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, they do fly upside down as well. So yeah, birds can loop to loop, they can fly upside down. Okay, where are we? So next questions. I feel like I should be going a little bit quicker. Where are we? So we can try and get as many as we possibly can. So we have got Louise Jennings. The big question is, are you missing me? Yes, we are definitely missing you, Lewis. Lewis is one of our volunteers here. We've got a fantastic group of volunteers, over 80 strong, that help to support the trust, and none of the volunteers can come in at the moment. We've had to work very, very differently in the way that we care for our birds and other animals here at the trust over recent weeks. We've had to actually split into 2 different teams from the members of the bird team, so that we can protect the care of our animals. So we cross over midweek, so that we're working completely separate to each other, and obviously having to follow social distancing boundaries and lots of different protocols. That's been a real headache, to be completely honest, to put into place. But the whole team have been fantastic, and we need to think about key members of the team that can look after the birds and the animals that we've got here at the Trust. So we've split into 2 teams, everything's done very, very differently. We've got no volunteers coming in. And you know, they do a huge amount of work, volunteers do, and I think I've realised that even more over recent weeks. Lewis, yes, we are definitely missing you and every other volunteer and supporter that come here to help us. So I can't wait until we can open the doors, visitors come back in, volunteers come back in, and we can get back to some sort of normality. What else have we got here? So Claire Gurnett here, hi Claire, she's asked what type of day do you enjoy most when flying birds at the Trust? Blue skies, calm, warm day with thermals, or grey skies, a cool and breezy day? I think that would probably be a day like this actually. Nice blue skies with a bit of cloud cover and not too hot. Not too hot because one, it's not very comfortable for anybody involved. That's us working with the birds, for our visitors that are sat in the baking heat, and also, more importantly, for our birds as well. You know, although we've got some birds that love warm weather and they're real sun worshippers, they will overheat when they're doing a lot of exercise. What was that just flew over? Oh, look at that, look. Sorry, I just saw a shadow come over. We've got a buzzard flying up above us, look, above the arena. Let's see if we can see it. Just saw a shadow come over me there. European buzzard just flying over the meadow. I didn't think it'd be too long before we saw a wild bird of prey. Okay, back to the, well, flying like that, look, this sort of weather means good soaring weather, and for a lot of our broad wing birds, so the eagles and the vultures in particular, the kites, they can make full use of that. So I think I prefer those sorts of days because the birds find flying much easier, and just, you know, with a little bit of a cool breeze, just makes it really pleasant. So actually this time of year, which has made it all the worse for not being open, is one of my favourite times to fly birds throughout the springtime, and then into the sort of early autumn as well, when the summer season's sort of finishing and we're into that sort of fresh early autumn period. They're my 2 favourite times of year to fly birds, on those sorts of sunny days. So hopefully we can get back to some normality and actually do that soon. Okay, where else are we at? So we have got, oh yeah, okay, so we've got a question here from Emma Smithhurst. I hope I've spelled that correct, pronounced that correctly. So Emma, how do you manage to look after all of the birds in lockdown? So do you manage to get everyone to look after the basic needs, and is there anything we can do to help? And I would love to know how the 3 barn owls are doing, please. Yeah, so the 3 barn owls, I'll start off with Charlie, Delta and Elder, who are brothers and sisters. They're doing really well. So we're caring for all of the birds in a very different way than we would normally be doing now. Doing lots of enrichment with the birds, lots of different ways of feeding, different ways of giving them exercise, and different ways of caring for them and managing them. And it has been quite challenging, but we're in a real routine now. And that routine has had to be very different for the main reason that we haven't got many people here on site. So it's really just the bird team, and anybody who doesn't have to be here, it's non-essential, are working remotely from home. So we've got a whole team of people working off-site that are helping to make things still happen here at the Trust and continue the work that we do. But us here on the ground here at the Trust are basically here to look after the birds and give them the care that we do every other day. So that hasn't changed. It's just changed in the way that we're making that happen. Yeah, Charlie, Delta, Elder, all doing really well. And how can you help? Well, I think, you know, doing what you're doing now, supporting us in the way that you are. We've had some fantastic support, as I was talking about earlier. Keeping in connection with us via social media, keeping an eye on our website. And when we open the doors, come and visit us. You know, the best way, whether it's as a first-time visitor, as a repeat visitor, as a member. If you join as a member, you can come and go as many times as you like throughout the year, and it helps support the conservation work that we're working towards. So yeah, probably my best thing is, you know, wait until the doors open and come and see us, and we can continue to hopefully spread the word of the importance of looking after birds of prey in the wild. It's probably the best thing we can all try and do. Okay, so lots of questions about red kites, which is brilliant. We've had more of who is your favourite bird and why. So we've got a question here from Ashley Vidler. Hi Ashley, and asked, my question is about one of the birds and how they are doing, and I would love to hear how Simba is doing, as he is the bird we have adopted. So yeah, Simba's doing really well. In fact, I won't move the camera again because I think I'll probably drop it, but behind, just off camera here, on the edge of Reggie's Wildflower Meadow, we've got our team of African white-backed vultures. So Cassius and Clay, who are members of our Wings of Africa flying team, and they also take part on some of our experience sessions that we do here, where you can come and handle and fly and meet many of our different birds. But they've also got Simba in there with them, and Simba is one of the newest additions to our white-backed vulture team. He was bred here, and he's spending some valuable time with Cassius and Clay. One, because vultures like to be together, and two, we've actually started the training process with Simba. And Mike and Ria, my colleagues, have actually started the initial process, and they're working with Simba within the group. And you find there's quite a bit of copycat behaviour with species like this when you're working with them, so it benefits for them to be in with other birds. So Simba started life in our vulture restaurant Avery, and you'll have seen that actually if you watched Tom with our vulture restaurant last week, and he'll have talked about Simba's parents actually that were in that aviary, and then Simba has since fledged the nest and come in to join Cassius and Clay. So hopefully very soon, when we're open again, flying birds, you'll start to see Simba making some appearances in the team. But yeah, he's doing really well. He's a cool bird. Bags of character. In fact, he's very good at stealing brushes when you're in there cleaning. I was cleaning out their water bowl the other day, giving them some fresh water. And every time I turned my back, my scrubbing brush had disappeared, and it was Simba that kept stealing it. So, but all good fun. Okay, where are we? So I think I'll do a couple more questions a minute. Hopefully you're on your second or third cup of tea or coffee now. I know my coffee and tea intake, I'm not a tea drinker, but my coffee intake has gone through the roof on the days that I've been at home. So it's, I think the whole of the UK has seen similar. Okay, so we've had a good one here, a bit of advice more than anything from Julie, and she's asked, her daughter is 8 years old and is very interested in working with birds of prey when she is old enough. What would be your top tips for her? Well, like I did and like many of the team here did, just get as involved as you possibly can, maybe with one of your local bird of prey centres or zoos. We take work experience students here. Currently our work experience coordinator is Ryan Stevens. He's been working here for many years, and the best way to get involved is to get hands-on experience wherever you can. So going through work experience channels via school or college, by volunteering on a weekend or any spare time that you've got, and by basically gaining as much hands-on experience as you possibly can. And by that I mean not necessarily with the birds as in physically, but just working around the birds, and that can be a lot of cleaning, a lot of scrubbing, a lot of mucking out, a lot of poo picking, all that sort of thing, which, you know, is just what working with animals is all about, really, isn't it? So the more you can dedicate your time to doing things like that and just absorbing yourself, immersing yourself into the whole bird of prey world, whether that be through a centre or whatever it may be, then, you know, that's my best bit of advice. And stick with it. It's really rewarding and you know, easy to become hooked on birds of prey, and even just, you know, on a work experience level and a bit of initial volunteering, you'll soon start to gain experience in this world. And if you can put more and more time to it and maybe end up with a part-time job somewhere or an apprentice scheme or something like that, and then you can go from there. But read lots, research lots about birds of prey. There's loads of stuff on social media and different videos that you can watch nowadays as well. Come visit places like us, you know, just to watch the demonstrations, watch the birds in action, and start to connect with us. We're always happy to talk to people when they come and visit. It's one thing that we're really particular in doing. If someone wants to ask a question, someone wants to talk to us about something, we make time for it. You know, even if we think we haven't got time, because we're all very busy, we've got lots to do to care for the birds and the animals, but we make time to talk to people, because I think that's what brings people in, you know, and what hopefully gets people enthusiastic about birds of prey. And, you know, if you can come into a place like this and talk to us about birds, hopefully we can give you as much information as we possibly can, you know, and that knowledge can hopefully help you if you want to work with birds in the future. So yeah, that'd be my best bit of advice, really. But work experience, I think, is the key starting point. Okay, where are we? So I think I'll probably finish with, yeah, we had a few questions actually about the white-tailed seagull that appeared last week, which was just phenomenal. I was lucky enough to be here at the moment when it flew over. In fact, I was talking with Andy, my colleague, and literally he just looked up and said, "That is a huge buzzard." And I looked around and I thought, yeah, it is. And then we both looked again and thought, well, that's not a buzzard, it's an eagle. And yeah, to get that moment with that white-tailed seagull flying over us, it turns out that it was most likely a bird from Norway, a young bird that's moved a little bit too far. But to see that bird flying over the truss for about sort of 15 minutes or so was just incredible. We've had the great introduction program that's been happening over on the Isle of Wight, and so we knew that one day soon we were likely to see a white-tailed seagull. But I always imagined that it would be one of those views that you see at real distance, you know, through binoculars, really umming and ahhing whether it is an eagle, whether it's a buzzard that's just a bit closer, you know, and because they do look very similar at height. I thought I imagined that to be our first view, but to see a bird literally flying just above the tree level, looking down at all our birds, flying with red kites and buzzards, and if you watch the footage, you'll have seen the size difference between the red kite, the buzzard, and the white-tailed seagull. There was just phenomenal. But you know, we've had a few questions from people about, you know, will it become more frequent? I think it definitely will. The Isle of Wight birds, the reintroduction program is going well so far. We're involved with that from a rehab point of view with our National Bird of Prey Hospital, caring for over 200 birds a year that come through our doors. And if there are any eagles that need rehabilitation attention, which will inevitably happen at some point, then we're involved in that way. So whether it be a white-tailed seagull coming into our specialist facility for care, or whether it be one of those wild birds flying over, or another bird from a different part of Scandinavia, who knows? I think we're going to see them more often, and you know, I really hope we do. Will it pose any challenges with birds that we're flying? Potentially, yes. You know, we get interaction from red kites, from buzzards, from kestrels, from peregrine falcons, from sparrowhawks, with our birds that we fly here already. Nothing too serious. So, you know, honestly, I can't really answer that if it would become a problem, but I'd like to think it wouldn't be. Don't think we'll see the numbers of birds here on a daily basis, but I think, you know, hopefully a few times a year we'll see white-tailed seagulls flying across Reggie's Meadow again. It was incredible to see, it really was. Anyway, I think I'm going to end it there actually. I think I've rabbled on for long enough. Hopefully the video, I think there was a slight cutout part way through there on the live feed, but hopefully we've managed to keep that going. I've been talking now for about 35 minutes, so about the length of one of our Valley of the Eagle demonstrations. So hopefully I've kept you entertained. Hopefully I've managed to answer the questions that you sent through. As I said earlier, that if we haven't answered any of your questions there, then we'll certainly get back to you via our social media feeds. But thanks again for supporting us. Thanks again for continuing to follow us. We're going to be back throughout the week with lots of other different things and videos that Alice and Louise have got planned. We're all getting involved at different times, and this session, our tea time chat, will be again on Tuesday, same time at 3 p.m. But thanks again for your support. I really hope that things get back to normal fairly soon and we can open the doors and see you all in person. But take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.